Hey there, Stefan here. Here's a short video that I promised going over my findings on the issue that we reported with this object pulling system or the pullable object thing. So what I've got basically in my scene right now is just a simple game object that has a script to it. And I basically have a TextMesh Pro prefab. This prefab, I added this pullable object. And what the script does, it's pretty straightforward. It's a simple script where I get a public reference to this prefab, and then I made the start a coroutine. I basically create an array that's going to store 10 objects. Then I use their object puller control to instantiate the prefabs. I basically set those prefabs at some random location on screen. I get a reference to the TextMesh Pro component so I can set the text to it. And basically we do this loop over and over and over again. Now once we get to 5, I basically start destroying the objects 5 behind. So once we get to actually 6, then I'll destroy the first one that's stored in the array, and then when we get to 7, I destroy the next one, so that way we only have 5 on screen at a time. So if I hit play, we can see that we're creating the objects at random locations, and we can see that the errors already occurred. So if we look at it, first object awake on enable, and we go all the way through, and then once we get to 5, it basically destroys it. So the sequence I'm kind of fuzzy on as to why they call it in this order, because if you look at this object, it's the one that's being recycled, it destroys it, so it's gone, it disables it, re-enables it, then it calls awake afterwards. The sequence seems kind of wrong. It should be, I guess if it wanted to do the thing correctly, in my opinion, it would disable it first, then destroy it, then call awake, then call on enable. But regardless, then we have the errors that you reported, which are showing right here. So why are they occurring? If we go take a look at the TextMesh Pro private CS file, if you look at on destroy, I don't destroy the mesh when you destroy the object. The reason the mesh is not destroyed, there was some issue, I can't remember what. I'm going to have to do more testing to make sure that by making this change I don't bring the issue back. But anyway, the mesh was already flagged as hide and don't save, so it's not persistent anyway. But at any rate, in order to make this error go away for you, you can simply uncomment out this portion, which means when undestroy is called, the mesh will be destroyed. Right, so we're going to go verify and make sure this works. Let me clear this thing here. We're going to hit play, and we're going to see that it's generating all these objects. There's no errors, and it's all happy, and so on and so forth. So, having said that, I haven't tested the stand awake, start whatever stuff. I have a feeling that I would run it without this option on. I haven't actually tested it, and that might be a bad idea, because if it does something bad, I'm going to have to restart the video, but it's actually doing the right thing. So what I was going to say is, if you look at the sequence, when you disable this, all it's doing is calling unenable, undisable, unenable, undisable, unenable, undisable. And if you look at TextMesh Pro, there's really nothing going on in unenable and undisable. Basically, awake is where all the allocations are done for the mesh buffers. And you only want to call that once, because you only want to allocate that memory once. You only want to free it at the end of everything, because otherwise you're going to get garbage collection. And TextMesh Pro was designed to generate no runtime allocation, because we want to keep the garbage collection away at all times. So given that unenable and undisable are super lightweight, there's nothing really being allocated here. Just disabling the object makes it go away, and then when you need it again, you just re-enable it, you change the text and whatever stuff. That's really efficient. Calling awake and undestroy every time, like those options were, is just the same as instantiating the object all over again. So I wouldn't use that option anyway, because there's no need to destroy the object. You don't want to reallocate anyway. So it does look like this tool is doing what it's supposed to do with that feature off, because I'm looking at the sequence here, and this would be actually pretty efficient in terms of a pulling system now. With this feature, send awake and start all over the stuff, I would not use that. That would be bad, bad, bad. So anyway, so that's the thing. By the way, in this mode, since we're not calling on destroy, we're not calling awake again, then the whole thing about the mesh being destroyed is not being destroyed, which is what I was basically pointing to. But now you know how to make it work in both ways, and that's it for this video. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Thanks for watching.